Hello everybody, I'm Nire, welcome to my channel, and it is time yet again to use our bookopoly board to choose our TBR, specifically our November TBR. If this is the first time you have seen my TBR videos, basically I use this bookopoly board that I made, which is just like a spin on Monopoly. I basically just roll a die, and whatever number that gives me is the amount of spaces that I have to go through, and whatever prompt I land on is the prompt that I have to use to pick a book for my TBR. That is basically how it works. It's really simple. I've had so much fun so far using this, and I really cannot wait to see what books we get to pick for my November TBR. So actually, before we get started picking the books for my November TBR, I actually want to do a little bit of an October reading wrap up. I usually do a separate video for my wrap ups. However, October wasn't my best reading month. I really did not read a lot, and so I don't have a lot to talk about in order to make a full video about it. So I am just going to do a little bit of a section in this video where I talk about that. So first, let's see what books I read for my October TBR. Spoiler alert, not many. I had 6 books on my October TBR, of course, picked by my bookopoly board, and I ended up reading a single book. One book out of my entire October TBR. October was just a month, okay? It was a very heavy and busy month for me, so I really did not have a lot of time to sit down and read. I'm pretty sure that in November I'm going to have a lot more time, so I'm very hopeful that I'm going to be able to finish my entire November TBR, but we will see. We never know. Life, gets in the way, so we'll see what happens, but that is definitely the goal. So let's actually talk about the books that I read in October. So I read a total of 2 books during this month, and actually it's not my worst reading month for the year. I actually have had months where I've read 1 book, and then I've also had months where I've read 0 books. So 2 books, it's not that bad, okay? It's not that bad. We're good. We're doing good. But I definitely expected to read a lot more, especially I definitely expected to read all the books on my TBR, but it's fine. So the first book that I read in the month of October was actually an arc where I read it in order to give a review, and that was Choosing Remi by Keri Grace. So this is a dark romance, which is actually very atypical for me. Like, I usually do not read dark romances. However, I do read a little bit of everything, so I'm not like put off by dark romance. Like, I have specific things that I don't like to read in books, but like I don't like to read them in any genre, not just in dark romances. So I don't usually gravitate towards that genre, but I do pick it up here and there. And I read the description of the book, and I read the trigger warnings and all of that, and it kind of sounded more of a humorous kind of dark romance, more than like a serious heavy one. So I decided to give it a shot, and I actually really did enjoy it. I ended up giving it a 3-star rating. I really enjoyed the main characters as separate characters and as a couple as well. I really did like following their romance. I thought that they were really cute, and I really loved how they went to strangers, to friends, to then lovers. Like, it was definitely a bit of a process. And I also really enjoyed seeing the sibling dynamics that we get in the book, because her female main character is basically the caregiver for her 2 siblings, and so she has to care for them and all that. And so we definitely see a lot of interaction between them, and I really did enjoy seeing their whole sibling dynamic, like I said. And I really had a fun time with the book. Like, at one point I thought that I was going to give it a 4-star, but then suddenly we got a scene that I just absolutely despised. Like, I did not like it whatsoever. At that point I was sure that I was going to give that book a 2-star, because that scene irritated me so much, like so much, that I thought that I was gonna give it a low rating. But then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, this is like a small part of the book. Like, overall I really enjoyed it, so I ended up meeting in the middle and just giving it a 3-star. I don't want to say exactly what bothered me, because of course that's part of the story, and I don't want to give any spoilers in case you want to go pick it up, which I do recommend you pick it up, because it's actually a really good book. It's just like that little scene, just like that one small part that I really did not like. And then I read the only book that I read from my October TBR, and that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is my first Riley Sager book. I've heard everybody talk about this author, and I just wanted to see what the fuss is about. I wanted to see why everybody is so obsessed with all of his work, and let me tell you, I had a great time with this book. I ended up giving it a 4-star rating. I just thought that the story was just so fascinating, and the characters and the vibe of the book was just like so eerie, and it was just so great. It was like the perfect book to read during the month of October. It wasn't necessarily like a scary book, but it definitely left you with this like uneasy, like eerie feeling, and you were just so intrigued in what's going on. This book follows our main character. I'm pretty sure her name was Kit. I could be wrong. She is a caregiver, and she is given a job to care for this old lady who is living at her secluded mansion up on a cliff. And when that old lady, Lenora Hope, was 17 years old, she was accused of murdering her entire family. However, she was never prosecuted because they they could never prove that she was actually the killer, so she never got arrested and she just like lived her life up in that house. So our main character is like very hesitant to go take care of her, and she's definitely like scared and all that because she has to stay with her. And I had such a great time with this book. Like I said, I thought that it was very interesting. Like I just wanted to keep reading and I just wanted to continue finding out what was happening. And I had so many theories while I was reading, and some of them were correct and some of them weren't. And I ended up giving it a 4-star and not a 5-star rating because I thought that there were so many reveals for some reason. Like there were so many unnecessary reveals, like left and right. Everybody was revealing something by the end, and I just thought that it was way too overwhelming. Way too many things were going on. So I decided to give it a 4-star. However, it's such a great book. So I definitely recommend you pick it up if you have not done so already. I had a great time with it. All right. So those were my 2 books that I read for the month of October. I'm not going to get into stats or anything because really, like, we had 2 books. So there's not many stats to talk about. But yeah, with that being said, it is finally time to get into the bookopoly and to play our little board game in order to pick our books for the November TBR. So let's get started and let's see what we get this month. All right, so here we are once again in the bookopoly board. I am hoping that we get some pretty good prompts this month and we can turn those prompts into pretty great books so that I can have a good reading month, because we all know what happened last month and I just don't want a repeat of that. I still would like to get the TBR wheel prompt because we have still not gotten that, and I would also love to get any other prompt that we still haven't gotten yet. And for the prompts that I would not like to have is anything that I have previously landed on. So genre generator is something that I really don't want to get because we have gotten that prompt twice. So hopefully we don't get that this time around. So just like always, I'm going to be using a little die as my character to go around the board. And I'm also going to be using another die to roll for the number of spaces that I have to walk through or go through. So that is everything that I had to say before actually getting into the game. So let's start playing bookopoly. All right, so let's see what we're going to get. Hopefully we don't get any repeats because I have been getting quite a bit of repeats for this past 2 times that I've been doing this. So let's see. Okay, 5. So let's go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we are very close to genre generator, but thankfully we didn't get it and we got romance book, which is just absolutely perfect. I have so many romance books on my TBR. However, this entire year I just have not been loving romance and I just have not been wanting to pick any romance book up. So I definitely have quite the collection to choose from. So let's see what book I end up picking for this prompt. Alrighty, so for our first prompt, we got a romance book. I am very excited for this. I'm really happy that we finally got a different prompt because we've been getting the same prompts like over and over again. And so getting this one is just like such a relief. And after going through my TBR and seeing what I have on my romance section, which is a lot, I have so many romance books on my TBR for some reason, I decided that I should continue a series. So for that, I decided to pick Swift and Saddled by Lyla Sage. I read the first book in the series, which I'm forgetting the name of right now, but I read the first book in the series a few months ago and I really did like it. I gave it a 3-star, I believe. I had a good time with it. It wasn't like anything special. I wasn't in love with it or anything, but I really had a good time. So that is book that I'm choosing for the romance book prompt. All right, so let's go ahead and pick our next read or our next prompt and let's see what number we get. Hopefully we don't get 1 because if we get 1 then we are going to get genre generator, but I'm hoping for a 2 so we can get the TBR wheel. We'll see. Let's see what we get. 3. Okay, we definitely are skipping the TBR wheel. For some reason, the bookopoly gods do not want me to use the TBR wheel prompt, but it's fine. It's okay. So we got the number 3. So we have to go through 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. And we have a Libby book, which is just amazing. I absolutely love Libby and I love supporting my local library. So that is an amazing prompt. I use Libby all the time. So I am super excited to see what book I'm going to pick from there. I don't think I have anything in mind. So we might just go around and see what books they have available and then we'll pick from there. So let's see what book I end up picking. Alrighty, so next we got Libby book. I absolutely love Libby. I'm always checking what books I can get from there. So I was so excited when I got this prompt. I went in and checked all the available now books that they had. And instantly I saw the one that I knew was going to be part of my November TBR, and that book is Remarkably Bright Creatures. I have heard phenomenal things about this book and I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I've actually had it on my whole shelf a few times. However, I just never seem to pick it up, and I think it is just a perfect time right now. So I am super excited for this book. I've heard, like I said, phenomenal things about it, so I'm just expecting to absolutely love it and just come to you next wrap up telling you how much I just absolutely adore the book. So let's hope that that actually happens and I have a great time with this book. All right, so let's go ahead and choose our third prompt. And again, I don't want any repeats. So far we're doing great. So let's go ahead and see what number we get. 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and move 6 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have, okay, let me move that over there. So we have popular book. Okay, I'm definitely not mad about it. There's definitely been a few popular books on my radar lately that I do want to pick up soon. And I definitely have one in mind, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be choosing that. We'll see. I have put the book that I'm thinking of on multiple TBRs and I just, for some reason, do not pick it up. So let's see what I end up choosing. Okay, so for our third prompt, we got the popular book prompt, and a book immediately jumped into my brain. I knew exactly the book that will fit perfectly for this prompt because I've had this book on my TBR for the longest time. I've been wanting to read it for the longest time. Like, everybody and their mother has read this book. The book community was obsessed with it for a long time. Like, everybody was talking about it, and for some reason I just have not picked it up. That is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I have had this, like I said, on my TBR for such a long time, okay? For such a long time, and I just cannot seem to pick it up. Like, I read the first chapter, I want to say, and I mean, it was okay. It was okay. I was intrigued in it, but it didn't like make me want to continue reading, and so I just put it down and I just haven't picked it up again. I just think that it has such a potential to be a book that I really, really enjoy. But for some reason, I just keep putting it down. I don't prioritize it and I just never read it, even though I really do want to know what everybody is talking about. I already gotten something spoiled because it's been so long and everybody's talking about it and I just have not read it. So I need to read it. I need to read it. If you read this book and you like it, let me know in the comments because I need a little motivation. I need you guys to tell me to read it. Let's hope that by the end of this month, I come to you and I tell you that I read this because it needs to get read, okay? It needs to get read. It's just like, I need to read this, like right now. All right, so let's go ahead and choose our fourth book. Let's see what we get. 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God, no. Of course this happens. I did not get the TBR wheel, but guess what? Of course I got book gel. So if you didn't know, this pretty much means that I have to read a book that I don't want to read. At least a book that I don't want to read right now. So something that doesn't catch my attention, something that I would prefer to read another time. So something like that, a book that I wouldn't necessarily put on my TBR for this month, but I still have to look through my TBR and see what book that's gonna be because I actually don't have one in mind. You know, you never know. Maybe the book that I'm going to choose for this, I end up loving and it becomes one of my favorite books of the year. We won't know. So let's see what book I'm gonna choose. And then unfortunately, on our fourth prompt, we got book gel. Okay, we have never gotten book gel before, and this just means that I have to pick a book that I really do not want to read right now. And I was looking through my TBR and I found the perfect book because I really, really do not want to pick it up right now. I actually picked it up like a few years ago. I want to say like 2-3 years ago. It just wasn't the right time, and I feel like I could potentially really enjoy this book. However, I couldn't get into it at the time, and so I put it down. But I think maybe this month it will be the time that I actually finally finish it, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I've heard nothing but great things about this book. Like, it is so rare to see a bad review of this book, but for some reason when I first started it, I don't know, I just wasn't too invested in it, and I put it down because I knew that if I continued with it, I was going to be in a reading slump. But I feel like it was more of like a timing situation, and it wasn't the book's fault. Like, it wasn't that the book was bad or I didn't enjoy the story. I just did not want to read that book at that certain time, and maybe right now it's just like the perfect time. So I'm gonna put it on my TBR. We're gonna try it again, and we're gonna see, you know, what happens. So The Book Thief is going to be on my November TBR. All right, so let's choose our fifth book and let's see what we get. 6 again. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here we are on fantasy book, which I think is just absolutely perfect for November. I definitely have a few fantasy books that I would like to read during this month. So I definitely have a few options for this prompt. So I'm really excited for this. All right. So then we landed on the fantasy book prompt, which I know exactly what book I want to pick for this because I am currently reading Babel by Kuang, and I'm having such a great time with it, let me tell you. And I'm actually almost done with it. I'm like 200 and something pages away from finishing it. And it is also a fantasy book. So I'm just going to add it to my November TBR, give myself a little bit of a little help, give myself a little bit of a push to actually be able to finish my November TBR. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I end up giving it as a final rating, but so far I'm having such a great time with this book because I absolutely love R.F. Kuang. Like, I just love her so much, and I love her writing and her books and everything. So Babel by R.F. Kuang is the next book that we have on our November TBR. All right, and let's go ahead and pick our final book. Yes, our final prompt in our final book of November. So let's go ahead and see what we get. I'm so nervous. Please don't give me genre generator. Oh my god. Okay, let's see. And the final number is 6. Oh my god. Oh my god. I swear to you. This is not planned. Oh my god. I think we did it. Let's go ahead and move 6 spaces. Everybody calm down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yes, indeed, 6. I didn't think I would see a day where I would play bookopoly and I would land on TBR wheel, but we did it, guys. We did it. We landed on TBR wheel. Finally, I am so excited. For our final prompt, we finally got the TBR wheel prompt. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to get this prompt since the first TBR bookopoly video, and for some reason, I just never landed on it. And today we finally did. I am a little bit scared though, because of course there are some books that I do not want to read right now. They are part of my TBR, but we'll see. We're gonna let the universe choose what book we are going to read. There are like 3 to 4 books that I recently purchased that are not part of the wheel because I haven't had time to put them on the TBR wheel, but we still have like over 200 books to choose from, so we should be fine. I am screen recording right now, so I'm just going to put the TBR wheel somewhere on the screen. So let's see what book we're going to get. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel. No way. Okay, we got The Troop. I have been wanting to read this book for a long time now. This book was actually on my summer TBR, and I unfortunately cannot get to it by the time summer was over. So I knew that at some point I was going to pick it up again because it is a book that I'm very interested in. I know that it's a very intense horror book, so I am just very excited to read it and pick it up and see what I think about it. So I am most definitely going to be putting this on my TBR. I mean, we have to because it is what the wheel chose. We'll see what I end up rating this book, but I do have very high hopes for it. So we'll see what happens. So that brings us into the end of this video. If you read any of the books that I picked for my November TBR, let me know what you think about them. Of course, don't spoil anything. Just like let me know your general thoughts about them. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And also, if you have not done so already, don't forget to subscribe. I upload bookish videos at least once a week. So if that's something that interests you, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.